it. We're approaching the end of one of the most decorated wrestling careers in the world ever, really. Coming up this week is the Icon Sting's last week as an active wrestler. But we're here to talk about last week's AEW first on the Hitting the Turnbuckle channel. And to do that, what does that mean? We have to bring back our regular AEW guru, the problem child. I don't know, whatever you want to call yourself nowadays. It's Mr. Dave Robinson. Nice to see you, mate.
Hey mate, how you doing?
Good, good. Been a busy one with progress, hard work pays off and you can't stop and you
Yeah,
have, you got to make time and stuff like that for things like this, which
yeah,
I enjoy because it means I'm talking to a good buddy of mine, being you. So, but yes, very busy like yourself. You've been busy working. I've been busy working and going to shows.
yeah,
Which was great, and a big shout out to Progress. Thanks for the weekend. It was amazing show, and great to see a story being finished in wrestling for a change.
yeah,
From anyway, we're not talking about WWE. We'll talk about that another time. Before we get into Dynamite and Collision and Rampage, which was back to basics this week, back to 3 shows, which was good. Um,
yeah.
QT Marshall is back in AEW, looking very lean from his picture that he posted yesterday. He's looking in really good shape. Not quite sure what the deal is, what he's back for, but is that a positive that he's back?
I think so. I think everybody's been very, very complimentary about the work that he's done backstage.
Yeah,
He's a really good trainer. I mean, he had his moments on screen where actually I quite enjoyed some of his work, to be honest, and he's
yeah,
very technically sound in the ring. But I think sometimes he didn't. I don't know. He didn't get over as with the crowd as much as he would have liked to, or the
yeah,
reaction. I think he sees himself as somebody that could be higher on the card. I'm not sure whether that can happen, will happen. I'm not sure, but I think to have him back in AEW in a backstage capacity, creatively helping younger talent, I think that can only be a positive thing. But yeah, I'm not so sure if we're going to be seeing him on screen. But as you say, he's got himself in great shape. So he's active in other promotions as well. I know he was doing a lot of work in Mexico, wasn't he? So
yeah.
I don't think he's hanging up his boots as such, but it remains to be seen what his role is in AEW. But I think that's a good thing. Definitely think that's a good thing.
Definitely, yeah, I agree. It's good to have his mind back in there. There's obviously Nightmare Factory, Cody Rhodes, his influences as well. So it's good to have him back. Just a side note, as we literally come on air, and we always seem to get some of this news. It's kind of AEW, very kind of not. Tama Tonga, who New Japan, I think New Japan, I believe,
Yeah.
heading to not AEW, heading to WWE, according to the
Yeah.
Wrestling Observer. Don't know if he's a relative of anyone in the bloodline. I could be right, I could be wrong on that one. Interesting one, Tama Tonga, but another one heading to the WWE could be a good one in there if they do it right with him. I think that's the most important thing, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with him, I suppose. So yeah, I think he's got connections with the bloodline,
Hmm.
uh, with the Samoan dynasty. Um, but yeah, I mean AEW themselves have got some great signings. They've got Will Ospreay, who
Yeah,
we're going to be hearing from next week. Is it on
this
Dynamite?
week, this
Yeah,
week.
this week. Yeah. We got big business coming up, which
Yeah,
is pretty much guaranteed that we're going to be seeing the debut of Mercedes Moné in an
yeah.
AEW ring there, and also strongly linked with Okada. So I think that's a good influx of talent and a good shot in the arm for AEW.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think I think they've been doing a lot of great work with the
Yeah,
foundations that they've kind of got there to introduce those stars is enough. So yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of more exciting talents as well.
yeah,
There's been signed the likes of Brian Keith and
yeah.
Queen Aminata
Yes.
and others. So I think the roster's looking a good place. But yeah, we'll see how Tamatonga fits into the WWE um, system, whether that
Indeed.
will be NXT or straight to the main roster.
He son of Haku. Is the
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
what he is. So yeah, he's back. As I say, that just literally broke as we were been talking. So I know it's not AEW related, but I like to I like to, as we know, I like to keep abreast of all sorts of things like that as we're going along the day, as we're going along. Sorry, not the day, the show. Anyway, let's get into some Dynamite. Loved the opener. FTR, but BCC gave us a great taste of what we're going to get this weekend at Revolution. A really good match. I'm kind of glad it was a little bit shorter because I know sometimes we say, oh, we just needed 10 more minutes or we just needed 5 more
Yeah,
minutes and that's. I feel as if we're going to get that at Revolution, so I'm kind of glad that it was condensed enough. It was borderline classic on
yeah,
Dynamite, but nice enough to make us want more this weekend.
yeah. I think there was some really good stuff on Dynamite this week.
Mm,
It was a pretty strong show, and I did enjoy it. I think we had some really good promos.
mhm.
Really impressed with Wardlow. Really, I know some of the content to Stings was kind
Mm.
of heart-wrenching and sad, but I
Yeah.
thought he's the way he kind of articulated that into a promo
Mm.
was amazing, to be honest. And it definitely got me more excited for a match that I was already pretty excited about.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sting's last match in the ring, but it's there's a really good story off the back
Yeah.
of it as well, and fascinating in terms of going in as tag champions, like we spoke about last week. Not a given that they're just going to lose the titles because it Sting's last match. We could well see one last Scorpion Death drop, one last Scorpion Death lock, and Sting goes out, as a champion, and he goes out on top. Which, given how his last retirement match went, I don't think many fans or peers would begrudge him that. But yeah, to pick up on what you said in regards to the opening match,
Mm.
I'm not 100% sure on the time limits in AEW. Sometimes we get 20-minute time limits, sometimes
Yeah.
we get 30 minutes. I don't know whether there's a difference between a tag and singles in terms of that time limit, or whether it varies. I'm not sure, but I I I thought this match was great, and as you say, it serves as a bit of a teaser to they're going to run it back again at Revolution,
Yeah.
and um I'm not sure whether that will be have a stipulation or no time limit or they'll do anything like that. Um, but these four, just show how good at fighters they are. Pro wrestling is a pro wrestling fight. We had the headbutt bit
Yeah.
with Mox and Wheeler, and we had some hard hitting action. And if this is a preview of what we're going to get at Revolution, I think we're going to get a pretty special match at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely so. I did forget at the start of the show, condolences to the family of Arn Anderson. Ole Anderson passed away
Yeah,
yesterday. Did forget to mention that. Apologies. Obviously, another loss to the wrestling community. Obviously, probably a little bit before our time, Dave, to be honest, in terms of, we're not really new. We know we'd heard of him. We know the legacy.
yeah.
His stuff was before our time as a fan. But obviously, when you lose somebody like that in wrestling, it's a devastating loss, isn't
Very influential as well,
it?
particularly in the world of tag team wrestling and the teaming with his brother on.
Hmm.
I know that they influenced FTR heavily,
Yeah.
and a sad loss for the wrestling community, as you say.
Yeah, definitely so. And as I say, should have said that at the start, but apologies. We will put a graphic up before the show.
Condolences to the family of Sting as well for the loss of his dad.
Yeah, was going to get into that a bit. We will get into that, and yes, very much condolences to Sting and the family for the loss of his father recently. We'll get into the promo that he cut very shortly. Probably one of the best promo. Well, one of the best promos. There was a really good one on Raw as well, but we won't talk about that as we're talking AEW. God, our good friend Orange has been in the way. Seems to be going back through the wars he was fighting over here at Revolution Pro. We saw him in the Battle Royal, or not the Battle Royal, it was like a 6-7 man. He defended the title over here as a surprise at Rev Pro. Funnily enough, we were just talking off air, Mike Santana, is it? Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Sort it out. I know, but it's been a long day. He's coming over to Revolution Pro Wrestling as well, which would be a great treat for the fans. But Cassidy, he went one-on-one. We haven't really seen a lot of Mike Bennett singly. He's obviously been in a team with Taven. Last week we saw Taven in the death match to
yeah.
end the show. This week was Orange Cassidy and Mike Bennett. You seem to forget how good Mike Bennett is because you don't see enough of him as a wrestler. And I think maybe that could be a problem. Not I say a problem going forward, but the stacked roster, isn't there, on AEW? And even they're trying to find it's difficult him to get on any show for a length of time, but it just proves how good of a wrestler he actually is.
Yeah, it is problematic because you've got you're coming off this big match last week with Taven. You got
Mm,
Ben this week, but they both lost.
yeah,
And I don't know if that helps establish a new faction, which the Undisputed Kingdom are. They've
yeah,
definitely lost a bit of momentum.
mm,
Wardlow did his very best to turn that around, and we'll talk about that in a
yeah,
bit detail shortly. But it was a good match. It was a good match. A typical. I mean, I like Orange's character development and the aggression that he's
yeah,
inserted into it. We still get like the orange kicks, but we get he ramps them up now, and he has certainly moved that character on, and he's
mm.
kept it interesting. And once again, it's been a great reign for him. I don't know if it's matched the first international title reign
I think so.
because it was something different as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And um, yeah, I don't think it's reached those heights. But I'm convinced that he's going to win at Revolution.
really.
I don't think Roderick Strong is going to take the title. I did initially, and if you'd
Mm.
have asked me a few weeks ago, that's the way I was going with it. But I'm fairly confident now that Orange is going to retain.
Wow, interesting. I'm still going
Hot
for
take.
Roddy. I'm still going for Roddy.
Yeah.
Interesting. Jake Hager making the save.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. I know it was in Oklahoma,
Yeah.
so that, he was always going to get a decent crowd reaction. And
Mm.
there's a bit of a resemblance between Big Orange and Little Orange in Jake. There's definitely a similarity in the way they look, but I would have liked to have a bit more of an explanation or a reason.
Yeah.
And I know it set up Hager's match on Rampage to a degree, and,
Yes.
and you have to remember, like Dynamite and Rampage, in terms of the live crowd, it's the same. It's the same event, isn't it? It's one big
Yeah.
show. It's kind of presented as two different shows, but yeah, I suppose for the live crowd, it didn't need as much
No.
explaining. Um, but yeah, it just didn't make any kind of sense in terms of a story. There was no prior
Mm.
relationship, friendship, or anything, as far as I'm aware, as far as I can remember, between Orange and Jake.
Yeah.
And Jake's Jake really been a heel the majority of his time in AEW, I would say. Pretty, other than his kind of comedy bits with his hat and stuff, and he was getting, a few laughs out of that, he was still really a heel in the JAS.
Yeah.
So why he would line himself for one of the company's biggest baby faces in Orange Cassidy, yeah, I think it needed a little bit more of an explanation, or we needed to have more of a reason. Don't know,
Yeah.
I'm a bit nitpicky, but yeah, I just didn't understand it.
No, I agree on that. I agree. It did make a lot of sense, other than, as you say, it's in Jake Hager's home state of Oklahoma. Angelo Parker was going on a date. More on that on Rampage. I've got a bit of a rant on that, which we'll get to. You know, my rants.
Yeah,
We'll try and keep them very low on this, but there is one. Ric Flair then, obviously going to be involved in some capacity on Sunday. Basically saying he's a bit disappointed he's not, involved more, and he enters the Young Bucks locker room. Is this kind of going to be a swerve? Are we going to get onto this? I mean, I don't really particularly care for Ric Flair. Not in that sense, but in this whole story, like, I get it. Sting's last match, he's going to be a part of it regardless. But I've got no interest in seeing him even trying to be involved in this.
I hated it, mate. I hate it. I don't want to see. I don't want to see him in AEW, to be totally honest.
Hmm.
I certainly don't want him having some kind of, significant role in Sting's last match,
Yeah,
whether that's for or against. Um, as much as I'd like to see, I suppose he's a selection of Sting's former
yeah,
colleagues, friends, wrestlers that he's feuded. The likes of Lex Luger, the
yeah,
likes of Kevin Nash, who's apparently been kind of blocked from attending by the
yeah.
WWE due to his Legends contract.
Hmm.
Luger's kind of said that he's going to be there, or basically said words to the effect of,
Yeah,
miss it. So if Ric Flair was sat in a group of legends in the crowd, or even in a skybox or something like that, then yeah, I'm happy with that. But for him to say, and I know this line would have been fed to him, and this is kind of said, that he expected to be more featured, more prominent,
Mhm.
I, I don't know, it annoyed me, to be totally honest. Why he would why he would go and have a conversation with the Bucks, why that wouldn't be addressed by Sting at some point prior
Yeah.
to the start. I don't know. Maybe it'll play out a little bit this week prior to Revolution, but I hope he doesn't get involved in the match.
No,
I really don't want to see that.
no, I've got no
I don't,
interest.
and I don't want him to have any kind of prolonged run in the company. I know he's under a contract. I think Tony Khan's put him
Yeah.
under contract, and it's a friend of his. We spoke about him coming into
Mm.
AEW a few months ago, and
Yeah.
there was definitely an increase in the ratings. So you know he's clearly still a draw to some capacity,
Mm.
but for me, this should all be about Sting and not Ric Flair.
Yeah, definitely. So I agree fully with that. I don't want to see Ric Flair anywhere near it, but we'll no doubt he will be. But we'll have to see in the capacity what happens, etc., etc. Just before we get, apologies for my light. It's really playing up. I'm going different colors. You're not having any epileptic
Uh,
issues. That it's generally my light. I will.
so just on Flair, mate,
Oh,
I just don't see like the payoff, or I don't see 'cause Flair can't have any more matches,
you'd
you know.
think, yeah.
So I just don't see I don't see the point,
Hmm.
kind of stirring anything up. And maybe if it's a misdirect, and I don't know. I don't know. I just for him to just be by Sting's side 1 minute and saying how this man, how much he means to him and that, and then a few weeks later he's rising in a limo and going straight to the Young Bucks locker room.
Hmm.
I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
But not a good why.
No.
Why is in? Why have you done that?
Definitely not a good why at all.
Yeah.
Let's just, yeah, let's forget about Flair for a minute. Getting on to Christian Cage. Jesus, he gets better. I mean, he's, the promos he does are outrageously good. Daniel Garcia was in the ring talking about, wanting a shot, fans wanting to say he deserves it. Christian comes out, says, "Do you know a Jackie Garcia? He was married, she was married to a David Garcia. He's your father. Your father's dead." Just like,
And the address he used as well was actually the address of the cemetery
yeah,
in Boston, is it? Is that where
yeah,
Buffalo or Boston?
something like that. I can't quite
Garcia's
remember.
from.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
somewhere.
was
Buffalo,
actually
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Yeah, it was actually the address of the cemetery. The
Yes.
Christian guys, he's gone into great lengths there. His attention to detail.
Hmm.
I just I love when Christian's music hits. I love when he's on the microphone. I really enjoy his matches. I think he's doing some of the best work of his career, and I'm
Yeah.
really looking forward to that match because it looked
Yes.
like we could be heading towards another triple threat, and we've already got one, all being well.
Hmm.
Reports of Hangman coming out that
We'll
perhaps
get into that.
not
Yeah.
be the case, but it looked to me like we might be getting Copeland, Christian, and Garcia in a triple threat, but we're
Yeah.
getting the one-on-one match, and I think that's going to be great. And I think it's a potential match of the night candidate. That I
Definitely.
expect Christian to retain,
Yeah.
uh, but I would be over the moon for Garcia if Garcia is the man to take the TNT title from him. I would be happy either way with the outcome of that match, and I think it's
Hmm.
going to be a really, really good match. So I'm glad they've gone in that direction and give Garcia the big title match on the big main event.
Certainly deserves it. Yeah, it's one of the matches on the card I'm really looking forward to. Hopefully, we'll get a prediction show this week, and we can
Yeah,
talk about it in a bit more detail for sure. There's a couple of women's matches next. Timeless Tony Storm didn't take too long to beat her opponent this week. Just wanted to get into there was a lot of it doing the rounds. Also, Deanna Purrazzo took on Madison Rain. There was a bit of a sick bump in this. People say a botch or a mistake. Trying to ask you a question about this. Do you think, and this is just me, I was literally thinking about this on the train home, which is why I thought I'd ask you because it's fresh in my memory. Obviously, we're seeing a few mistakes with Sammy Guevara. We got to last week with Jeff. Do you think with the women, it's a case of that they're trying a bit too hard because at the moment time is really limited for them on these shows, and it's a case of we want to try and cram so much into 6 minute or 4 to 6 minute matches. That bump looked very very bad. Luckily enough, it wasn't, and Madison's fine, and we're glad about that. Are they trying too hard?
I'm not sure. I mean, we see. we do see accidents and
Yes.
things it fairly frequently
Hmm.
across all wrestling promotions. So I'm not sure whether if they're trying too hard or whether it was just a lack of working together. I mean, we haven't really seen Madison Rain
No.
um to a great deal. She's more of a trainer, I believe that's her role in
Hmm.
the company. She's
Yeah.
kind of a coach.
Yeah.
In saying that, they have worked together in the past. I think they've had a
Yes.
match impact and
They
even
did.
like even on the indies as well, I'm sure they faced each other. So it's not the first time they've faced each other. It was
No.
unfortunate, and as you say, glad that Madison's okay. I was happy that we got two women's matches on Dynamite, albeit they were
Hmm.
quite, particularly the first one, the Tony Storm match was very short. We are getting more featured women's matches. We're getting more promo segments, on Collision. We always get a women's match on Rampage, and we've had two on Dynamite. So things are trending in the right direction. And I think is it Jennifer Pepperman that's come in
Yes.
to help creatively with
Yeah.
stories. Um, I think that's a huge signing for AEW as
Mm.
well. Obviously, not an on-screen, not a
No.
wrestler, but somebody that is really going to help the product creatively. We spoke to Eric Bischoff on the show,
Yeah.
and I listened to his podcast. I think he's it's fascinating. I don't always agree with what he says, and he hasn't got the highest opinion of AEW, but a lot of
No.
his criticism is justified. Um, and he is very excited about Jennifer coming into the company
Yeah.
and helping creatively because, in Eric's view, it's recognition to Tony Khan saying there is an issue here. There's a
Yeah.
problem we need to address. Um, People are saying that people are hoping that Scott D'Amore is also
Hmm.
kind of going to find his way there. That remains to be seen. But I think we spoke earlier about QT Marshall
Yeah.
and you know Jennifer Peppermint. She's an award-winning writer and she's worked for WWE for a long period of time. So I think both of those new additions, if you like, are real positives for the company. And hopefully, it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. And Eric kind of said that it's going to take a
Yeah.
long time to implement a lot of the ideas and the stories and getting to know everybody and working to people's strengths. But I really do think that's a good thing for the company.
Yeah, definitely so. It can only help, which we kind of said that he's needed. So hopefully that will help, and we'll start to see a benefit of that ASAP. Really, um, we said about this two things. We said an amazing promo from Sting. Sting's going to give everything, and it's the fight of their lives with Darby Allin, a Revolution. That was an incredible promo. And then after that, and we'll talk. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a second. Then we went to another un. Well, I've never seen a Wardlow cut a promo so good in
Yeah.
AEW. That one that got me invested, and he went in on a lot of people, and he never got his opportunity. Then he got buried. Then he beat the best in the world. Nobody has, and his body's still falling apart. A bit of a hit of Punk, and he reminds us that he squashed MJF. He choked out Joe. This is exactly what or how AEW needs to build this guy. If I'm not saying it's too late. If they could have done this, I don't know, 12 months ago, or
Yeah.
when he left MJF. I know it was a face. This is a heel promo and a very good heel promo. Can they turn the corner with Wardlow and make him a credible threat in AEW? And also, he needs to cut more promos.
Absolutely. I think more of the same. That he's gone out there and he's absolutely smashed it. I
Oh,
hate the expression, but he really did go out there and he hit every line. Everything he said
yeah,
was factual.
yes,
As you say, he's a heel, but you everything he said was true.
yeah,
Everything he said, he didn't stutter, he didn't stumble.
no,
The stuff with Punk and some idiots online have kind of criticized it. And there are times when AEW will mention WWE and
yes,
it's a little bit unnecessary,
yeah,
and WWE doesn't do it the same way. But this was different. This
yeah,
was different because he wasn't just like crapping on a company. It was like in character, and it was also not insulting the intelligence of the audience. It's not pretending that stuff didn't happen. That did happen. He beat the crap out of Punk in that match. He powerbombed him multiple times. He still lost the match.
Yeah.
But he did, he focused on the beating that he gave him. Um, Clever thing to do, I think. I didn't have any problem with him mentioning, not dropping his name, but alluding to Punk.
Mm.
Uh, the current world champion, MJF. It was all good stuff, and I think we should have probably seen it or heard it earlier. But it definitely gives me hope that they can resurrect Wardlow to a degree, get him the momentum that he did have a while ago. Whether he's going to be a face or a heel moving forward, regard we this type of promo makes you care about his character and
Yeah.
want to see him. Um, yeah, I would be doing exactly the same, more frequently. And I'm saying he's got to come out and cut a promo every week, but we certainly want to see him on the microphone more often than not. The only kind of thing that really kind of muzzies it for me is he's part of this faction, and as I said, I really don't think the faction is working particularly well. We haven't seen Adam Cole again this week.
No.
He's clearly further away from a return than perhaps they thought. MJF's injured now, so that's kind of scuppered that feud as well. So I'm not sure where this faction and where Wardlow fits into this faction and how relevant it is to his character and his goals moving forward. But in terms of him, in terms of his performance and his ability on the microphone, I was so pleased and impressed with him. Um, in terms of Stings, wow, I mean, for the career he's had, and he said to his family and stuff like we've never
Yeah.
saw that, have we? We've saw Sting
No.
in factions himself. We saw him as part of the NWO in the Wolf Pack. We've saw him in factions in TNA when he's part of the
Yeah. Main event Mafia.
Main Event Mafia. So we've seen stuff where people have attacked his comrades or his colleagues in groups
Yeah.
or associates, tag team partners, but we've never saw Sting's family
No.
brought into a story like this. We've never saw that side of Sting. And I think to do that and to add that element to his final match and his final storyline and his final kind of full-time run, I'm hoping he sticks around and I'm hoping he's part of AEW and will get the occasional appearance.
Yeah.
In terms of his wrestling career, to add something different to such a long career, which you think he's kind of done everything. I think they've done a great job with that. And as I said earlier when we started, a match that I was already looking forward to and fascinated with how they were going to book it and the outcome of the match, I'm even more invested in now. I thought the promos this week on Dynamite, Christian, Wardlow, Sting, I think they were probably the best parts of the show.
Yeah, they definitely hit every point of the show.
It was some good wrestling, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
those promos were sensational.
they were brilliant. The main event, which we kind of got into, I mean, Samoa Joe, Swerve, and Brian Cage did beat RVD, Hangman, Adam Page, and Hook. Sorry.
Yeah,
Now there is a bit on this. Now we initially thought, and everyone initially thought, even Meltzer's been getting so much shit wrong recently. Obviously, his sources have dried up, and he's had to use HP and Heinz for his sources, saying that he Hangman had broken his ankle and all of this stuff, and that it's actually at work. Hangman isn't injured, but there is a personal issue that he's going through or having right now that may unfortunately rule him out of Revolution. And I think they're using the ankle injury that he suffered during that match as a way to get him off. Be a really big shame considering
yeah,
they've really built this. And I'd have to say, look, I'm not ready for Joe to lose I want Swerve to be world champion. I do,
yeah.
I absolutely do. I just don't want it yet.
Yeah, I wanted a good role, a run for Joe. I didn't want him to lose the title at really his first. Well, it is the first pay-per-view since he won the title.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, he's had a few defenses, hasn't he, on Dynamite and
Mm,
stuff. But yeah, I think that's right. He won it at World's End, and then we've got Revolution. So
yeah,
yeah, so um, at the same time, if they are forced to book Swerve Joe one-on-one, I think you've got to put the title on Swerve. I think
yeah.
Hangman was ultimately in the match to take the pin,
Probably. Yeah,
um, and protect Swerve. Um, I think if they're forced to go 1-on-1, they might have to move things around and bring Swerve's title run sooner,
Mhm.
which would be a shame for Joe.
Yeah,
And no, what do I know? They could totally go the other way, and Joe could win, and there could be really. I'm sure Swerve will be protected if they did that because of
yeah, yeah,
how they've built him, how over he is, how popular he is.
yeah,
Um, but for me, if they're going into that 1-on-1 match, we were going to kind of get there at some point in the next few months. I
yeah.
think we might have to pull things forward and put the belt around Swerve's waist.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to see what happens. Well, this week, tonight, even Dynamite is tonight. So yeah, it's Wednesday. It would have already aired by the time this show goes out on. No, yes, no, I'm wrong. Dynamite is tomorrow. Fuck yeah,
It's cheap, isn't it?
it's been a week, mate. It's
Yeah.
already been a week, and we're only on Tuesday. Dynamite will air tonight when this goes out. Yeah, it's already been. It feels like it's been a month, let alone 2 days of the week. So interesting that Dynamite was a good Dynamite. Let's move on. Let me move on to this rant because it's gonna kill me until I burn it. Right on Rampage, we saw an interview with Soraya. We saw it and Harley. Remember, give me her name.
Harley Cameron.
Harley Cameron. Um, and she was going off on one about Matt Menard, is it Matt Menard or Angelo Parker and Ruby Soho dating, and she basically, and there was some comedy in it from Harley Cameron throughout this whole promo, and she introduced her brother Zach Knight, the Zodiac Zach Knight, wherever he's going by now, and we love Zach. We you know he was on the show. He was so cool. He's a great guy. He's a serious wrestler, and you debut him in a comedy skit backstage promo. I have no problem with him joining Soraya and anyone like that. But why on earth would you do it in that manner?
Yeah, I thought Zach did really well, and he did look kind of menacing when he came on
Yes, he
screen,
did.
and it was definitely interesting. If I wasn't aware of Zach, I'd be like, okay, that's this guy looks a bit different.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, to try and kind of shoehorn him in to this angle, I'm not overly invested in Angelo Park and Ruby
no,
Soho, to be
no,
honest.
no.
Um, I think Soraya and Ruby might have had a had a pretty decent match if it was built up differently,
Mm,
but I don't really care for this.
no.
Um,
And he had to keep a straight face during that. And that's
yeah,
not always easy. Because I mean the lines were, don't get me wrong, the lines were funny. And even when she told me, I said, oh, he's a hunky guy and all this stuff. And in the Zach, I had to think he's saying again, what the fuck am I doing? But like,
yeah,
he's standing there menacingly. He's got that look, and he looks like, Jesus, you walk in and but someone walking in looking like that, you want to go, oh shit. You don't want to sit there and listen to, some comedy going on. He's a serious wrestler. The guy is a monster. He will knock, he could kick 7 bells of shit out of most of that roster. How are we supposed to take him seriously now?
yeah. There's a number of ways he could have been brought in, and I think they would have all been better than this. But at the same time, I'm really pleased for him.
Yes,
When we
absolutely.
spoke to him last year, his
Yeah.
huge goal was to get signed to a
Yes.
contract in one of the big companies,
Yeah.
and he's achieved that goal. But I think for Zach, he probably think this is just the start now.
Yeah.
The contract, but he's not going to rest on his laurels. He's going to go out there and he wants to become a huge star. And I
Mm,
think he's being handicapped a little bit by the way he's come in. I
yeah.
would as soon as seen him as a surprise entrant in a multi-man match or even challenging Orange Cassidy, or I'm not saying that he should have won the international title on
No,
his
no,
day,
no, of course.
but there's ways for Orange to retain the belt and protect Zach. Um, I think something like that and show us how good of a wrestler he is, because
Mm.
he's a sensational wrestler. I would have preferred that than to be kind of Soraya's brother, and he's going to be a bit of a sidekick. I don't know which way they're going to go with it, but yeah, I would have preferred.
The way I would have done it with this is I would have just like had Angelo Parker in the ring, him and Ruby, maybe looking even getting it on or going for a kiss like that, and he just absolutely decimates it.
Yeah, they could have done that. That would have been better
Because
than what we got. But
the
I don't really.
character doesn't suit what they were doing.
Yeah,
That's
see,
the problem for me.
I don't know. I don't know how. Just because it's Soraya's brother, I don't know if they necessarily needed to be put together in some kind of faction or group, or I'm not sure. I would have kept them separate.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I really don't know. The Knights are a pro wrestling family, and Soraya is very entertaining.
yeah,
She's an interesting character, but I would have rather if they're going to pair them, have the more serious wrestlers, and you don't see too many kind of mixed gender matches in
right.
AEW. There was some potential there to do something a little bit different, and yeah, I can't help but to be a little bit disappointed with like the little skit and the bit we've seen. But hopefully, Zach will have the opportunity to step into the ring on AEW television again soon and show us and show the world what he can do. And hopefully, this won't hold him back.
Yeah, listen, he'll go and he'll knock it out of the park. I mean,
Yeah.
we got so much time for him. He was a great guest for us, and I will never forget when I went to Rev Pro 2 weeks after, my heart issue. He beelined for me. He making, make sure I was okay and stuff like that. And that kind of, that really sort of stayed with me ever since him and RKJ. So listen, he will knock it out of the park, and it's just a shame the way he got brought in, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Look, Rampage was a fun show. Had some fun matches. We're not going to get into it in too much detail, but overall, I do like Rampage because they are separating it nicely. They're adding a little bit of storyline involvement from the collisions and the Rampages, but they do have its own storylines going on Rampage only, and I like that, Dave.
Yeah, yeah, it's always a pretty good show. We said it last week. Um, and you say from the live crowd, there was some continuity in terms of we
Mm.
did the Hager match with Roddy.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, yeah, it made you think maybe is it a foregone conclusion that Roddy's going to win? You kind of expect him to because he's going
Mm.
into the pay-per-view against Orange and he's going to be challenging for the title.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was in Oklahoma, you thinking, well, has Jake got a chance there? So
Yeah.
I didn't mind that as well. But as I say, I would have liked a little bit more of an explanation as to why he kind of positioned himself next to Orange. But in terms of the wrestling, on Rampage, it's always good. And if they
Yeah.
can sprinkle that little bit of story in,
Yeah.
I think that's beneficial. And you don't need specific Rampage only talents or anything like that. There's
No.
no need for a roster split, but it certainly gives some more opportunity and airtime to people that perhaps don't see too much of it on Collision and Dynamite.
Yeah, definitely. Good to see Brian Keith on there as well. Just a quick one. He teamed with Commander and Penta against Private Parties. Matt Sydal, Top Flight in Action, and Andretti. I think that was quite a few names.
Yeah, they picked up the win as well, didn't they?
He did. It was nice. Penta hasn't. I don't think Penta's won in a while, to be fair, and it was nice to see that. And that, I mean, that was listen. You called it a car crash as such. I mean, it was a really good match for that. But yeah, look, Rampage is good, and I like to keep that rolling really with Rampage. I do like those separate storylines, and as you say, sprinkle of the new stuff, sprinkle the stuff that's going on as well. But it does make it have a different feel to it, which is what I like about Rampage. I like that both of the shows have a different, all three shows so I have a different feel about it, so I do like what they're doing there, and hopefully that they keep that up. But Collision this week, listen, we had Sammy Guevara. I don't know what's happened, since his birth of his kid, but he seems to be on more of a career death wish every week. We
Yeah.
had Jeff Hardy last week in a no DQ match, and we all know how that went. This week he had, of all people to have, he had Powerhouse Hobbs in a no DQ as well. Powerhouse gets the win on this one, but do you know what? Like, one of the things got me is he put Hobbs through a table and then he set one straight back up after. Listen, the match was an absolute. I know I just said the word car crash. The match was an absolute car crash, but it was an enjoyable, fun way to start Collision.
I really, really enjoyed it,
Mm.
and I'm really glad that Hobbs has looked great for me. Like
Yeah,
this year, I think. Yeah, there was a time where you would question and you think that Hobbs perhaps wouldn't win this match, but I think now he just looks like a beast and you expect him to win. But
mm.
this was a really competitive, great match, some really good high spots. I think I think you could have arguably had it in the main event, but obviously we got a pretty good main event as well. But I think the immediate of this aftermath of this match, they were always going to struggle because it was such a high and the crowd got so invested in this match and it was such a great match that they kind of made their own problem in some respects by starting off the show so hot. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
know that's a strange thing to say, but yeah, I wouldn't want to have had to follow it, you know. And I hate you follow that is what how I would have felt. But this was really good. And so I don't mind the odd stipulation match thrown in, particularly when there's previous as well and there's a reason for it. And like Sammy Guevara being part of the Don Callis family
yeah,
and then out of the family and feuding with them. I think you could kind of um say that it's a bit of a grudge match and something that perhaps benefited from the stipulation. It wasn't just for the sake of it. There
yeah.
was a there was a need for it, or there was a reason behind it. So I thought this was really good, but I was glad Hobbs picked up the win.
Yeah, me too. He needed it as well. Straight. I mean, how'd you follow that? They followed it with FTR. That's what they did against Shane Taylor Promotions. I would have liked, you know what? I would have liked. Sometimes I say less is more, and I did say that. You know, I was glad that their match, the BCC on Dynamite, was kind of shortish. I know it was a tiny bit draw, but it could have gone longer. I wanted this one to go longer because it was really getting interesting when then FDR pulls it out of the bag. You knew FTR was going to win. I didn't think there was any doubt of that. But the match was actually so good, and I just wanted to see a little bit more of it.
Yeah, I think Lee Moriarty was a big part of that as well.
Yeah,
I think he's a real great talent, similar to your Daniel Garcias and people like that that AEW have got.
yeah,
I think Lee Moriarty could be a huge star for them in the future.
mm,
And we saw some of the things that he could do in this match. So I'm glad because collision, as we spoke about before, it gives you an opportunity for people
yeah,
like Moriarty to go out there and earn that experience on TV and get more action and get the reps in.
yeah,
Uh, and so not a huge surprise that FDR win, and they kind of mentioned the match with BCC coming up. We expect teams to pick up wins to get momentum going into pay-per-views.
yeah.
Um, but I thought this was a good match.
Yeah, I enjoy. I say I just would have liked it a bit longer, and I always say sometimes you should be shorter, and I can't win. I'm so contradicting of myself all the time. Thunder Rosa had a job match. We won't really get into that. It's just good win for her again, just to keep that momentum going for her. Obviously, she's going to be um, getting there, coming up on the rock. You know, obviously the ranking system is back, so her picking up wins will always do her good.
I think just seeing her again was great. We've kind of got the card set for Revolution. I think there's 9 matches. Wouldn't surprise me if they throw another one, two, three, four in.
Yeah,
Um, but I think there's going to be some conclusions to a fair few stories at the weekend. So I think it will be interesting following week, the aftermath of Revolution, and hopefully we'll see more of the likes of Thunder Rosa and people like that, and get some new fresh stories and some new feuds.
yeah, definitely. So it'd be good. It's always good to shake that roster up a little bit, and the new, as we say, Mercedes Moné coming in will obviously do that as well as obviously Deanna Pratt. Perhaps even Camille Brickhouse will be there as well. So plenty of names to get on of it. To get on of it. Sorry. I never thought I'd see the day. Max Caster messes up his whether this was legitimately done on purpose. I don't know. Messes up his rap.
Yeah.
Didn't continue with it. Bang Bang Scissor Gang against the Iron Savages. It was a nothing match, to be honest. This was marred, Dave, by some selling of Shawn Michaels style at SummerSlam against Hulk Hogan. I can't remember who it was. One of them took a famouser, hit the rip, bounced off the floor, and flew over the top rope. I don't know whether they were watching Dolph Ziggler or Shawn Michaels beforehand. It was a nothing match. The Bang Bang. I'm not sold on the Bang Bang set. I didn't know what to expect when they filmed it. I'm not sold on them at all at the moment.
No, I'm the same. I didn't when it was all coming together, I thought it might be interesting, but they just totally they didn't go after the Undisputed Kingdom, which they both had issues with. There was never real any blow off to that story.
Mm.
I think both factions have suffered off the back of it. So I think this will be. a short thing. Be interesting to see how Juice fits in and how long he's out. I
Yeah,
hope he's not out too long, and whether that'll play a part in them splitting. But I don't think this is going to be a long-term faction. Um, and Mac, that's the first time, in fairness to him, I've ever seen him
yeah.
totally lose it and forget his lines or mess
Mm.
up the rap. I think it was legit. I think he just had a bad night. Um, but he's allowed one, I suppose. He's got a lot of funny promos and funny raps in the past, and yeah, felt sorry for him because he's live, isn't it?
Yeah,
Collision.
yeah,
So there's not
yeah,
a lot they can do about it. Hopefully that doesn't affect him from, like, I'm sure it won't, from a confidence point of view, and he'll still be cutting great rate. He'll probably make fun of himself in his next one.
yeah.
You like hearing some of Max Caster's previous raps? I would say he'll probably poke fun at himself in the next one.
Yeah, definitely so. It was quite funny to watch or listen to.
He was just like, no, I've messed it up. It's done. It's done. Let's
It's
move on.
done. Malachi Black had a rare singles match.
Yeah,
And what a set. And again, I'm going to contradict myself again here. Brian Keith, Malachi Black. I would have loved that to go longer.
yeah,
It was such a good. I say this every time when I mention Brian Keith. He's coming over to Progress Wrestling at Super Strong Style. Can't wait to go and see that. I am so looking forward to that whole weekend of. We've got a whole weekend of wrestling. Super Strong Style at Progress. I think it's a Saturday and oh no, Sunday and a Monday of a bank holiday weekend. I think it's in May. Can't wait to see him live. I really, really can't wait. And this match, Dave, this was again such a good match. I say Malachi rare singles out, and he does pick up the victory in this. Doesn't really hurt Brian Keith him losing to Malachi Black, but I could have watched that again for longer.
yeah, and I think we will get to a point with Brian Keefe that he'll be picking up more wins, but we've kind of been the AEW audience have been introduced to his character and obviously been really impressed with what he can do. And I think, as you say, matches against Malachi Black, I don't think anybody really expected him to win. But he put in a great performance, and yeah, I could have sat and watched this for another 10, 15 minutes easily. It was a really great match between two top performers.
Yeah, brilliant match. Loved it. Loved to see it more. After the match, Briscoe come out. He had a kendo stick and just he got laid out in the end with Dante's Inferno as well. So that's continuing on, which is good. Lady Frost, Serena Deep. Oh, I love Serena Deep. And these two. I mean, Lady Frost can work well with anybody. And
Yeah.
hopefully, what we haven't seen yet is the Lady Frosty's All Elite graphic. And I hope that we see that. But so Dave, Serena Deeb just, I mean, we were just talking a minute ago about, the women and the, the sort of strength and depth that AEW have, and she is just brilliant.
Yeah, I'm so glad that she's back.
Yeah.
Did you say a big mention to Lady Frost as well? We've
Mm,
seen her and Queen Aminata, two
mm,
two names that weren't like huge names, like not names like Mercedes Moné and people
yeah.
like that. And they've gone in there and they've really, really impressed. And I know Queen Aminata has got a all elite graphic and she's under
Mhm.
contract. And I hope if Lady Frost isn't, that she soon will be, because I think she's a great, great addition. And when I think about like the women's division and where they can go with it and what they can do with it, it's not just a case of singles matches, tag matches, trios matches, battle royals, stuff like that. And I think the likes of Lady Frost could have a huge role to play in the company. And as I say, I don't want to beat up on the women's division this way.
No.
I think they are making great strides and things have
Yeah.
definitely improved from when we were talking about it a few months ago. So long may it continue, but Serena Deeb heading it up, not just in the ring, on the microphone as well. A whole presentation, the kind of
Mm,
Deeb's dojo, the serious wrestler, the technician, the
yeah.
professor of professional wrestling. Absolutely love her character and her work in the ring. And yeah, hopefully we'll see a lot more of her in the coming months.
Definitely so. I hope so. Kingston joined the commentary. Well, I love anything with Eddie Kingston.
Yeah.
Please come to Progress this year, Eddie. Please, for fuck's sake, come to
Yeah.
Progress. He's got your shirt. I need, I need something.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. I mean, we'll see him at All In probably anyway. But still, come to Progress, or come to Ignite. We'll have him.
Yeah.
uh, okay, Akiyama.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Nailed.
It's it. I'm getting used to it now because when I go to Progress things like or even Rev Pro, they have a lot of New Japan or Noah. They had like Yoshi over this week, which I got right amazingly, and Azawa. So I'm getting there. So yeah, against Brian Danielson. Listen, it was great. It's a good main event. Eddie Kingston on commentary made it as well, obviously hyping the feud up. Danielson. No surprises that Danielson wasn't going to win on this. I'm enjoying the ride of the Danielson fairy or whatever
Yeah.
ride he's taken us on for this last year or so that he's got. I'm enjoying it. It was a Japanese style wrestling match for what you would normally see in the New Japan's. The end of it, I mean, obviously Danielson win, which wasn't a surprise. He did shake his hand. He flipped Kingston off. He got a slap for that, and then he kicked the guy in the balls. Kingston run out, massive brawl to end collision, which was great. But it's no surprise when we sit here saying Brian Danielson and another near five-star performance.
Yeah, this was great. And I just want to try and appreciate Brian Danielson. Well,
Mm.
we've got him, this is his last, he's not retiring, but this is his last full-time run. I think,
Yeah,
that's what he kind of said.
yeah,
Um, and this was just another great Danielson match in
yeah,
AEW. Well, not just in AEW, across the board, everywhere Danielson's has been, he's had great matches, and this was no different. Um, I think it's probably a dream match for himself as well.
yeah,
Something, he's obviously got a lot of say in his opponents in his last year, and he should have. If there's
mm,
matches in there that he hasn't had, wants to have, capable of having, they can sort it out. They've obviously got the relationship with New Japan. Then we want to see it from a story and a show point of view. I didn't mind how it all finished because it just feed into the Kingston Danielson match that we've got coming up at the weekend.
hmm
I perhaps would have preferred Hobbs and Guevara in the main event,
yeah,
but yeah, again, they were both great matches. Bookended the show really well. So again, I don't want to criticize it too much. I thought both Dynamite and Collision were 8 out of 10 shows, and I
yeah,
think you'd probably say the same for Rampage as well. Rampage is obviously an hour, so it's hard to rate it the same way I rate the other two shows.
yeah,
It was certainly a solid week for AEW, and I think just giving them a rating as a company and their television output for the week, I think it was a pretty good week for them last week, and I think 8 out of 10 reflects that.
yeah. I agree. I'm on that. I agree with that. 8 out of 10. I was giving it around that figure. I think 8 out of 10 for the combined.
Yeah.
So obviously this week on AEW, I'm just getting it up now. That's why I was looking down just to get some stuff. So Will Ospreay first, his debut as All Elite. Will Ospreay. I was a bit surprised that that didn't.
Yeah, we spoke about it last week, didn't we? And we kind
Yeah,
of said that we didn't really expect to see Osprey prior to Revolution.
yeah,
We're going to see him. I'm presuming he's going to be in the ring on the microphone. Whether that'll be with or without the Don Callis family remains to be seen. But um, yeah, we could do with a little bit more build, I suppose, to the Takeshita match.
yeah,
It's going to be a great match,
definitely.
but they are stable mates. But it'd be now Osprey is all elite and not just kind of visiting, if you like. It would be interesting to see his reaction and how his relationship with Don Callis and the rest of the family. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him on Dynamite.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait anything with Will Ospreay. I'll watch, and again, thanks to Will. And I know we paid to get your autograph and everything, but it was nice to have that conversation and just to give our thanks to him at Revolution Pro a couple of weeks ago. On tap, we mentioned that Sting obviously makes his final appearance on TBS, which will be interesting. And lastly, FTR and Eddie Kingston. So FT Kingston will go against the BCC, which will be very interesting. I think Hangman's going to update us as well on the injury that he didn't
Yeah.
sustain last week. So we'll see if that's on there as well. So big Dynamite coming up. Lots of stuff happening on this channel as well. I've got Taylor James. He's turned on Jack, so they're rebelling are no more in Ignite, and he's requested some time with me to basically explain his actions. So Taylor James will be on the show. They'll be recording that tomorrow. Probably go out maybe next week. This dropping this week. We've got interview with Slam Masters that was recorded last week. That's going out. ODB's interview's going out as well this week. She's made some interesting comments about whether she wants to have one more run in wrestling. So keep your eyes out on that. I'll be interviewing David Francesco on St. David's Day. What a David on St. David's Day. Could you report? Could you literally write that? Bullet Club Clark Connors from Bullet Club will be coming on next week, as well as JJ Gal, standout from Revolution Pro Wrestling. We then chat to the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, UFC crossover. We're going to call this one. We're going to talk about a bit about UFC, talk about WWE, TNA, and what have you, and see what he's up to nowadays. I think he signed a Legends contract with WWE, so that'd be interesting. Does that mean he's going into the Hall of Fame this year? We'll have to wait and see. Devon Dudley also comes up. In a couple of weeks' time, which is going to be a good one for us. Tag team specialist, Devon Dudley. Really looking forward to that. That's pretty much it. We are going to be doing some guest blog interviews with Progress Wrestlers. Progress Wrestling roster will be coming on to start that up soon as well. We're just working out on dates on a few talents. Where else are we? I'm at WrestleForce on Friday, making our WrestleForce debut. Literally 10 minutes down the road, myself and Rachel will be heading there to see our good mate, Mark True. He will be competing at WrestleForce. He still wants our title. Yeah, good luck with that, Mark. Yeah, he still wants that. So we'll be going there. Then we'll be probably heading back to Revolution Pro for the Revolution Rumble at the end of March. I've just seen another event. SOS Wrestling have announced an event 20 minutes down the road from me in Southend, which was going to involve former WWE wrestler Eugene, who's going to be there, along with a good friend of ours, Connor Mills and Shah Samuels. So I may be heading there on a rare Friday outing for me. I don't normally do Fridays, but maybe tempted as it's 10 minutes down the road from me. The next Progress show we're going to be at is One Bump or Two. What a great name for a show. That's coming up in April, so keep your eyes on that. Full Throttle Ignite Wrestling Pro. We will be there on the 21st of April. It's the Road to Buckle Up 2, which is going to be July the 14th. More on that as the weeks come on. Some big names are lined up for that show, so keep an eye out on there. Obviously, come to Ignite because you may get on the April 21st, you may get a little bit of a glimpse as to who will be there. So yeah, come to that show. But Dave, it's AEW. It's the obviously thank you. It's always great talking to you some wrestling, but hard work and keep it going. Make sure you keep the hard work going, my friend. It's always good to talk to you about AEW. You're such a busy man with your job, but you do it's always good when we have these conversations. But we'll be back. We'll try and fit in a Revolution prediction show. We will have to review it. Well, I say we'll have to. It sounds like I didn't want to, but we will be reviewing Revolution this weekend as well. Really looking forward to that pay-per-view. But it is the AEW show, which means it's up to you to serenade everybody with our goodbye.
Yeah, as always, it's time to bid you all adieu. Goodbye. Mwah, and good night. Bang.
And stay safe, everybody. See you soon.